I think Joey actually sealed the podium finish.
At this point, I realize if I finish, I'm anywhere between second and third place. Second bag, I load it with ease, I'm running it, I go to load it, and to my amazement, it is perfectly laying on the bar and it didn't go over.
Oh, no!
No.
Oh, no.
Looks like something happened for Joey.
He's grabbing his right knee. It was literally when he was stepping away from the back. He didn't have any weight on him.
Before I know it, it felt like somebody took a sledgehammer to my right leg.
You ready?
Yeah, dude. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. I can only point you in the right directions, Kobi. I could no longer help. I'm more of a liability than an asset now.
How good were you feeling in that moment, in kind of that warm-up phase? Just what were you feeling in terms of?
Well, since I took, that was like my peak week. My body actually felt really good. Like everything felt strong. I wasn't sore. I didn't have any aches and pains. There was anything that was bothering me. I was doing mobility, and by the time I was starting to warm up, I felt really good. So that's ideally where you want to be, because even though you're really only competing for a total of 5 or 6 minutes, you are putting your body through absolute hell with the amount of weight and reps that are about to go down.
Yeah. Getting ready to start the first event, and the guy comes up to you and he goes, "Well, Joey, I put your name into a randomizer, and you're going first for log press."
Joe, this is Casey. Hey, how are you? She's going to be your expediter today.
I'm Joe.
So she's going to tell you what order you're in, all of that good stuff.
Okay.
She won't have your points, but other than that, she's who you're looking for.
Great. She hasn't
good news, bad news. You're up first today.
Okay.
On log.
All right.
Kind of, what were your thoughts right when you heard that? Kind of, obviously 2 years out, and you're going to be the first one going to start the show off, and even the announcers were talking about it, and hearing them say, "Oh, you coming back from 2 years to now being the first to start off this show." What was going through your head in that moment?
First thing, I thought he was joking. One, I was like, hey, well, if it's going to be the log clean and press as the first event, that's a good one for me to start off on. And then secondly, I was like, hey, dude, this is a great way to just make a statement, on the first event. And I kind of liked it because I was warmed up and I was like, all right, I'm ready to just go out there. I didn't have much time to think about things. I do like to see other people lift. But for this one, I was kind of like, no, I'm good. I'm just going to get out there and do my thing.
Okay, so log press, you go up there. Take us through that whole segment of the log press, that whole event.
Yeah, so the log press, so we had to do 2 clean and presses at 340 and then 2 clean and presses at 380. The thing about this event is it was broken down by split times. So they're timing us of when we're done the clean and presses for each weight, and that can affect obviously your standings. So you do get rewarded by moving faster, but you don't want to move so fast that it potentially hurts your performance. My game plan going into it was hit the 340 twice, relatively quick and smooth. Obviously, you don't want to waste too much time and take forever, but it was a weight that I knew I could hit even on a bad day. And then I wanted to compose myself and get 1 at 380. I think if I get 1 at 380, that's a good amount of points. Even if people were getting 2 and clearing the whole thing, I still think if I could get to that log, that means that's a big deal. Now, easier said than done, especially when you've been out for 2 years. That was my plan, and I ended up just getting lost in the sauce. I hit the 340 for 2 relatively quickly and easily. And then instead of taking more time, which I should have in hindsight, I went right for the 380, cleaned it, it was fine. But then I just rushed the press. So dropped the log. I think I may have tried to clean it again, and I just realized, especially from training, that second clean with that heavy weight after already doing 2 was just really tough for me. Like, I needed to get stronger in that position. So that's why I was planning on just getting 1 and kind of maxing out that. But I think I just moved too quick, zapped my energy. So I had 2 clean and presses at the 340 and then kind of just bowed out at the 380 and just was like, hopefully that's enough to at least keep me middle of the pack. But I didn't zero it. That's the biggest thing, not zeroing that event.
And then you moved into the deadlift. Take us through that moment and kind of how other guys were going, and it seemed like they were finding a groove, and then kind of your mindset right before your time was up.
Yes, the way they reordered all the placings was by event. So since I was like middle of the pack on the first event, I was kind of middle of the pack on the deadlift. Now, if you were last on the log, then you would have went first for the deadlift, and it would be reorganized every single time. So middle of the pack of the deadlift. This one I was worried about because I have had a lot of back issues, especially my low back with disc herniations, and I've really had to be mindful of that, so I didn't put myself back with this reoccurring injury. So my goal with that was be smart. If you can get a good amount of reps and your back feels good, awesome. But if you start pulling and it's something that if you mess your back up and it's going to mess you up for the rest of the show, that's where I really had to put my ego aside and keep myself in check. Now, I will say training for this was difficult. I was training a lot of 15-inch pulls, which is just what my coach had programmed for me based on my equipment needs. I don't have a car deadlift or an apparatus that would have been anything like the feel of this deadlift. So it was very unique. So I was trying to watch what people were doing, but I also, with the deadlift, have to play my game. It's easy for other lifts where I can be like, oh, he tried this, so I'm going to try that. But for the deadlift, it's very individualized on how people pull, and you don't necessarily want to change your pulling style right before you were to go. So I got set up just to get a feel for it, and I started off, I think, too much in a conventional setup, and I was yanking on that shaft pretty dang hard. But then eventually I found where I should have been, and it definitely made a huge difference, and I got in a nice cadence where I ended up getting 3 reps. Now, after that, with the way that the deadlift would hit the ground and kind of move and shift, and I could even feel it kind of shift side to side a bit, it was hard to consistently find where my hands and my feet needed to go. And then I just could not budge it anymore. I was exerting so much energy, and I did start to feel that low back start to flare up a bit because of how much I was straining and really not budging it. So it's just a lot of force. And I forget what point I got to it. I realized, I don't want to gas myself out with this. I still didn't zero the event. Yeah, probably not a great event for me, but I got points. So there's some sort of points on the board. So I kind of threw my hand up I'm good. The judges ended up telling me that out of everybody, my feet were actually the furthest back in my setup, which truly did make it a conventional style pull. So in terms of how much weight I was lifting, I was still happy because I don't think I've lifted that heavy since having some back injuries, but definitely not optimal for that event on how I was pulling, but I did my best. And like I said, we didn't zero. So my goal from there was forget about it, move on to the next one.
There's a lot of people who got high reps, 15.
Oh yeah, some animals.
Some animals. And in the overall scoreboard, you sat pretty low. And then we came to wheelbarrow arm over arm. And that's something where I kind of knew that it was going to be your jam because it was a lot of athletic movement. So I think there was a couple people that went before you, or were you the first one?
No, I think there was maybe 2 guys that went before me.
There was 2 guys that went before you and struggled a lot, and so I was like, okay, well maybe this is a little heavier than I thought, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a battle. But you came up there and you just crushed it. Kind of take us through how you were feeling before that one, and kind of maybe if this was a time where you can get a lead on some people and points and move up in that overall.
Yeah, of course. So I love moving events and medleys. That's always been a strength of mine. So if it's moving and loading or pulling or a pressing style event, those are my wheelhouse. So anytime I do see these events, I get very excited. This one was tough because it was kind of unknown of how it would feel. Nobody really, I mean, I didn't pick it up before I went. The handles are super wide, so think of like a wide frame carry. If you've ever done one of those, that's where the grip was. So it was going to be, can I hold my grip strength the longest while doing this, because I don't want to drop it. It was also, how does it feel once I pick it? You know, and then kind of just try to build momentum. And that's exactly what I did. Some of the guys were talking about, you know, when you pick it up, get a big shrug and hold that shrug to keep the leverage as high as you can, like a normal wheelbarrow, and then kind of drive into it. So I did use that piece of advice. For whatever reason, the grip was no factor for me. I felt like I had a really strong grip. I picked it right up, and I took a little extra time to stabilize it, which I think was important. And I had that big shrug. I tried to get my traps up as high as I could, and then just lean forward into it. And I almost had like I was like climbing with my feet almost. Like I had this good cadence of like a march and pushing off my toes so I could keep it leaning the way it did. And I just kept that thing rolling until I got the down command to drop it. And then I had to sprint back right over to the arm over arm. Still unsure of how that was going to feel. But I got that thing moving really fast, and I was trying to keep as much slack out of the rope as possible and just kind of using my legs and driving. And I think that I won that event, which was great. So I came back from not doing great with the deadlift, you know, hit that event, and you could kind of tell like guys after that were like, okay, this guy's legit. Like, this isn't a fluke, you know, like it could have easily probably been like a bad deadlift and so on and so forth. But once I won that, I think I kind of got some heads up to be like, oh, all right, this guy's here to play. And that got me fired up for sure.
Yeah. After that event, you were moved up to 4th overall, and so you're sitting in a good spot. What was your mindset when those standings were going up and down leading into that 3rd event? Kind of, you know, you've been there before, so you kind of know how standings work, and so it's like, did you ever, you know, get worried or have to be like, oh, I gotta, you know, get this one back? How was that?
So I would say, from having experience in the sport, I realized anything can happen. Right? Like I said, the biggest concern for mine is do not zero anything. And if I can hold some higher averages and win some events, there's still a shot at the podium. So for me, it was just more of a boost of, you know, I got myself in a little bit of a hole, but winning that event just shows how drastic things can change and kind of put me in that 4th place. Still very tight with everybody. There wasn't a huge difference in points. But once again, it kind of built my confidence, and I just realized, like, this is a long game. There's 6 events. You never know who's going to break down, right? There are going to be guys who just get gassed or injuries and whatever. There's weird things that happen. So I could not let myself get caught up in the standings game or the rankings by any means, and just get locked in, take it one event at a time, use that good momentum, and obviously like go balls to the wall all in every single time.
So next was the super yoke. Okay. 1,000 pounds.
Boo.
1,000 pounds.
Boo.
I mean, we saw them setting that thing up, and the weight didn't stop when they were putting it on there, and my back was hurting for sure just watching.
Yeah, you were hobbling around after you saw that.
Yeah.
You're like the hunchman.
Yeah. You hear 1,000 pounds kind of, you know, in an event where you seem to do fine at, but it's 1,000 pounds, right? So
yeah, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah. How was your mindset with all of that and going into the yoke?
So it's kind of funny, and I'll talk more about it. My longtime friend and competitor, Nick Hine, was standing next to me, and we have a good vibe where we're super competitive, but we also find ways to like break it up and have some fun and some laughs. And he was like, bro, you remember back a couple years ago, I had to do a 1,000-pound yoke, and he's like, I only got 12 feet. He's like, my goal is just to get more than 12 feet. And I was like, Nick, bro, I've never lifted a 1,000-pound yoke. My goal is just to lift it and move it 1 foot. And we both kind of chuckled, but like that's how we were viewing things. And for me, I'll be honest, I hit 900 pounds in training. It actually felt really good. So based on how that felt, I was like 1,000 pounds, probably going to suck a little bit more, but manageable. Now, what I didn't factor in is being in a strongman competition with multiple events before a 1,000-pound yoke. So not only did you have heavy objects and posterior dominant movements, but you had to deadlift a skid steer before for reps and then go lift a 1,000-pound yoke. So that factored into it. I would say the other biggest factor is I messed up my pick height. So I was back and forth where when I first went under to do my measurement, I picked 3.5 hole spacing, and that left me probably about this much off of the ground and felt really good. So the less I have to pick off the ground, the less energy I have to exert, but if it's closer to the ground, you have more margin for error if it does get wobbly or something does hit. And with 1,000 pounds, you have to remind yourself that like that will staple you. 1,000 pounds isn't a weight you can kind of like bounce your way out of and stabilize. It's if that hits the ground, you got to repick it. So I was like, do I stay at that height? Because only when they add more weight, that's going to get closer to the ground and smush in more. Or do I go with a lower pick height? So I'm really going to have to pick it up off the ground, but I have more clearance. So game time decision, I ended up picking for that lower pick height, which ultimately I think bit me in the butt because I was so tired. So I had to pick it up. I started moving too quick and I literally got the death wobble going. So I got a few feet out, dropped it, had to repick it again. I don't even know how many feet I walked, kept going, dropped it. And in my brain, all I could think about is just finish this dang event. Like, don't zero it. And I won't lie, every time I was picking it up, dude, it took a piece of my soul. But once again, that's going to show you the grit and determination that I have. Like, I'm not going to be that guy who's just going to throw his hands up and let this yoke beat him if I know I can do it. And at that point, I needed to finish because I knew that that would drastically affect my placing. So, you know, I dug deep. I cued on some Celine Dion in my head, and my heart will go on. So, finished, crossed the line. I think it was like 40 seconds or something pretty ugly. But once again, points were on the board. You know, I went to an out-of-body experience. I thought my eyes were blowing out of my eye sockets. You know, I got, you know, what do you call them, blood vessels shot. And I was just happy for it to be done, for being honest. Yeah. But it was a PR, dude. I PR'd. I walked 1,000 pounds, freaking 40 feet, under a minute. The other thing we didn't talk about is my weigh-in. I was like 262 or something like that, the weigh-in, which is crazy. Not probably the greatest because I lost a good amount of weight. But, you know, I was impressed. I was happy, all things considered, all things said and done.
So after that, you dropped down to 6th place, but then you had to go into an event that you've never done before, which is the Conan's wheel. But you're good at Zerchers, and kind of you knew that going into it. Even it was a Zercher type of movement, but you're walking with 800 pounds of force. So kind of how was that Conan's wheel? You saw some people really just dropping it right away, and kind of surprising because maybe those guys have never done it before. I don't know. What were guys saying and kind of like before that event? Did they do it before? Did they not? And then obviously you, kind of your mindset with that event as well.
Yeah, so like you said, I'd never done a Conan's wheel in a strongman competition before, so I was only practicing on a yoke and a Zercher position, just trying to walk with it. And what people don't know is about a week before the show, I was supposedly doing comp weight, and I could get like 5 feet with it on a yoke with a Zercher position. So I was like, dude, this is not going to be good. So I didn't know what to expect, and my mindset going into it was not very confident because I haven't done it, but I was trying to figure it out. So one of the guys there who was actually promoting the show, Tommy Sharp, he was giving me some pointers, and apparently he's like a pro at the Conan's wheel. He's like, he never gets beat. And then he got me kind of excited because he said, it's just about how much pain you can endure and how much you can suffer. And I was like, well, Tommy, I can suffer a lot. If I can get it in the right position, you're telling me, like, I'll suffer all day. So he was talking about picking it lower, which a lot of guys are saying pick it higher. Some are saying pick it lower. Once again, it's how you're going to play this game. So he said, start with it lower. Instead of bringing your traps up, he said, let your traps kind of hang down and let it sit more kind of in the crook of your bicep. Really lean back, look up, and just kind of ride that wave. And eventually it's going to keep putting pressure on your forearms, whether it's going to pull your arm down. And you just have to hold on as long as you can as it's kind of just slipping and grinding down your arm. And you can see I obviously have all these cuts on my forearms. But I just tried to do exactly what he told me. So I got underneath, I picked it, I actually felt like it was in a pretty comfortable position. And once I got some momentum walking, I was just in a good cadence, and I just kept going, and I just stared up at the ceiling, and I kept just going, just keep swimming, like Dory from Finding Nemo. And I did that until basically my vision was starting to turn into a black hole, and I thought I was going to pass out. And I can remember them saying like 10 seconds left, and I was still moving, and I was just like, every step counts. Like every inch I can get is going to make a difference in this. And to my surprise, I ended up winning that event, and I do think it really came down to grit, but I would say also conditioning. Like, I'm more of a conditioning-based athlete. I have a good endurance for just that burn in the legs from different exercises or carries or sled work that I've done, and I'm no stranger to pain when it comes to that. So for me, it was, my body is going to give out before my mind does, and it's just how long can I hold my body up with my mind. And it put me into a first place, and then that really helped with the standings going into the last event.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of guys were passing out on that event.
Yeah.
And you didn't pass out at all.
I got close, but I didn't. I would have if I needed to. Yeah. Like, I definitely was just like, whatever it takes to get this done.
You were middle of the pack to when you were going. There's a couple people that went before you. Seemed like they were struggling. Maybe we were like, okay, a lot of people are kind of struggling with this, and they're not moving as fast. I mean, they're getting it done, but still not very fast. What was your mindset going into your event and your time to go in that situation?
Anything with movie events is speed, man. Speed kills. So I know all those guys could do the bags. It was just how fast were they transitioning from one bag to the next. And you'll see a lot of guys, and this is historically, they either walk or they kind of trot to the next bag. And for me, it was, tip it, get it, run it, load it, twist it, bop. No, I'm kidding. But just run as fast as you can to the next bag. And, that's what I did. Like, I was making really quick time. Now, the interesting about this is it was a knockout style event. So if you didn't do well in terms of time in the first round, then you were done and you move on to the second round. So I ended up making it all the way to the third round. And that's huge because based on those points alone, that would put me in podium positioning for being in that third round. So, went through the first round. I think I moved decently fast. Second round was maybe my fastest. Maybe I was a little bit faster on that second round, I think. I don't exactly remember, but I knew one round was definitely faster. And then we're at that last and final round.
Yeah, kind of had a feeling that you were going to be top two. And surprisingly, it was you and Nick Hine who are competitive and were the underdogs really in that event because of weight and everything. He was sitting at first all day. You were climbing up to be in second place and podium status. Kind of take us through that mindset of the sarcasm and the fact of that you were going against him. It was kind of like a full circle moment from like everything. It was like kind of leading up into this
for sure
championship style type of event.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. So not to make this all about Nick and I, but Nick and I started competing at the same time. I think I had one competition prior to him, and then after that we were at a lot of the same shows. So back then we were either 105 or the 242 class, which is a very competitive, middleweight class. But some of those guys threw up the craziest numbers, and we've always gone head to head. We've always been very competitive. I mean, I know he wants to beat me, and obviously I want to beat him. But it's a friendly competition, obviously. Like I said, I want to beat him at my best, and he wants to beat me at my best. And there was a point where Nick and I were training, frequently. At one point, I was helping program and coach for him. So I think the difference is he and I were going up in our careers, and then I took time off, and he kept going. And credit to him because he's an absolute freak. He's probably one of the top 105s to ever compete. So when I knew he was going to be in the show, it was kind of like a last minute thing where he signed up. And I think for him, it was great because him and I were competing for similar reasons, but yet different, where he needed a new mindset approach and wanted to challenge himself. And I also wanted to challenge myself, and I'm coming off this hiatus, and it's just to show like what I'm capable of. But I think him being there was comforting because it was somebody I've competed with for a long time. So like you said, him and I are like, at one point I said to him, I was like, yo, like let's get on that podium together, bro, you know? And he was just like, hell yeah. And we're kind of going through events together. What would you do? How would you do this? You know, giving each other feedback, and then equally trying to beat each other, because that's how we do it, you know. But yeah, it was surreal standing next to him, and you know, he obviously wanted me to crush it, and I wanted to get up there and celebrate with him. So yeah, man, we were clanging and banging the entire day, and that's what we do.
We're here.
We are here.
And
not good. It's not good.
take us through that second bag.
Yeah, dude. First bag. Get it, load it, throw it over. I'm pumped because I'm moving quick. At this point, I realize if I finish, I'm anywhere between second and third place. Just all I have to do is finish. Second bag, I load it with ease. I'm running it. I go to load it, and to my amazement, it is perfectly laying on the bar, and it didn't go over. This bar is probably like 2.5 inches, maybe 3 inches. This is a 320-pound bag that's just perfectly level. So I may even show in the video, but I'm kind of like I'm in surprise. So I turn and I run back at it, and when I run back at it to push it over, I remember my left leg slips, and before I know it, it felt like somebody took a sledgehammer to my right leg, and I could feel almost seemed like I could hear a loud pop. As that had happened, I just remember I hit the ground, and I was like, okay, maybe it's a cramp, and then I realized I could not even move my right leg, like, whatsoever. So for me to feel that and not get up is a pretty big deal. I've never not really gotten up. It's something that I can work through, but I had like no function of my right leg. I was still a little distraught. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I realized that I can't move. So by that point, you know, I felt that there was local pain to my knee, or an uncomfortable feeling to my knee. So I grabbed my knee, and then obviously medical attention comes over. They're trying to ask me questions, and I'm just saying, like, I can't move my leg. This is where the pain's at. I heard a very loud pop, you know, and then they obviously pulled me over to the side. There was a nurse there. So she's kind of just asking me some basics. And as we start to kind of work my knee sleeve down, I can realize that my kneecap does just not look right. And I think then I thought maybe I hyperextended it, or maybe I dislocated my knee, which is really hard to do, but that was kind of the first thought. And then after that, I realized that there was basically nothing above my kneecap where my quad should be. It was just kind of mush. So that right away, reality set in of this is bad. I'm pretty sure that I tore something or everything above my knee. And, you know, we just realized that we had to get to the hospital ASAP, which was just such a gut-wrenching feeling. You know, like there's so many emotions. I went from this high of, dude, I'm going to be on the podium in a dogfight, to something seriously wrong. And, you know, what do we do from here? And just trying to feel out those emotions of, you know, coming back. You're just angry. You're embarrassed. I'm still proud of myself because I feel like I put on one hell of a show. But then it was just like, okay, one step after another, and slowly letting things sink in. So yeah, we got in the wheelchair, and then we had to wait for the ER, man.
What were a few words just to describe that?
Probably, this doesn't define you, and those that know you, like, they know that. Like, people that know me, and people like that truly know me, because I feel like there's maybe some people that see us hyping up these videos, and you know, we're making a big deal about it. The reason we make a big deal about it is because we want the sport to grow. Like, let's be honest, right? We're making it exciting. We're making it a story. But at the end of the day, if you know me, like, you know it's much more than, like, you know I'm going to come back. You know I'm going to fight through this. And I think it's easy to let my mind go into a different direction and feel embarrassed or think about what other people are thinking, or maybe they're laughing at me. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of people didn't even know how bad it was, dude. Like, people thought I slipped and I fell. And they're probably like, ugh, sucks. Nah, dude, like, I just shattered my quad. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big deal. Like Joe Zadmary doesn't not get up. So for me, it was just like, it doesn't define you, and you're gonna live to see another day. You're gonna get back on the horse. It's gonna be a process. It's gonna be long. But once again, like, you thrive in this, dude. Like, I think that's the other thing. It doesn't define you, and you thrive in this. I thrive in challenges. I thrive in hard times. So yeah, maybe the writing is on the wall. Maybe this is just a small part in this bigger story to play. And for those that are invested in the story, it's gonna be a wild one, man.
All right, final thoughts that you want to leave everyone off with, kind of about the event, maybe, or kind of. Yeah, anything that you want to say, really. This is now your time to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever you want to say to the people, or yeah.
Looking at the camera, yo. Yeah. First off, competitors, the guys that I compete against, it was a top class group of guys. So I was definitely, I think Nick and I were the lightest guys that weighed in, and we want to challenge ourselves against the big dogs. And that show was everything you'd want out of a big dog show, right? You have great athletes, you have heavy events, stand up, just guys, right, that were competing. So shout out to all of you guys. It was great to meet a bunch of you and compete with you. Obviously, right, like I said, we hype it up, but at the end of the day, like, my job is to connect with you guys and get out there and bring the best out of each other, and that was done. So just huge thank you, big thank you to the PSL, big thank you to Sharp, the promoter of everything, and I had a blast, right? All things considered, obviously the way it ended sucked. I wish it didn't happen, but I think the event overall was just a ton of fun, and it was really cool for me to, I guess, be somebody that inspired people that I competed against, because guys I was competing against were telling me that. So that was a really awesome moment, and that really made me feel comfortable. And just when I came in, everybody was excited to see me. So that's something, like, I'll never forget, where when you come in or you've taken some time off, even like if you're playing like a intramural sport, or you take some time off from jiu-jitsu or going to the gym and you're worried to get back in there, and then you make up all these stories in your head, and when you walk in the door and everybody's just happy to see you, like, that's how I felt coming back into Strongman. And that's what reminded me of, like, just how amazing the Strongman community is. And like I said, we're battling it out head to head, and guys are saying, hey, you should try this on this event, or this is how it felt for me, maybe give this a shot, where it's hard to find other sports, right? You don't see guys playing other sports where they're giving you their pads and they're hooking you up with their equipment, or trying to give you these golden nuggets so you can one-up them possibly and do better than they were doing. So it's very unique in that sense, and that's why it's near and dear to my heart. But other than that, like I said, I'll close it out by, on top of that, I want to thank Kobi. Guys, when I got hurt, bro, like, if it wasn't for Kobi, my wife, and my man Derek, like, I was in a bad place. Like, I couldn't get up, I couldn't move. So these people are taking care of me. They're shuttling me around. So just to be able to have those kind of people in my corner just meant the absolute world to me. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And, I bless my wife, because I'm going to be laid up for, 6 to 8 weeks immobilized from the surgery that's happening tomorrow. So by the time you see this, I'll already have had it. But it's about a year recovery. Like, I completely ruptured my entire quad, tendon, ligaments. It's just mush down there. So it's definitely the biggest injury I've ever had, but I have a huge support system, and the amount of people that reached out and messaged me, people that I knew that I didn't know, you guys mean the absolute world to me. Like, for guys I compete against to come up, give me a hug, and I could see kind of like tears in their eyes that this happened. That's guys, like, come on, that's huge. That's huge. So just know I'm very grateful. This does not define me. If anything, right, you're going to watch me come back. There's a lot of things we can always learn and grow from these opportunities that present themselves to us. And sometimes it's unknown and you question why, but there's always a reason why, okay? There's always a reason that we can get better and a way to get better. So for me, what may seem like a minor setback, major comeback. And I keep making this joke, but I'm serious. Like, don't pray for me. Pray for the other athletes when I get back, right? Because you've lit a fire in me, especially getting that little taste of potential that I had at this last show with putting together a fairly quick prep of being out for that long. Man, it got me fired up to be like, dude, you got potential, man. Like, you got what it takes to be a top dog in this sport if that's what you want to do. And maybe I'll do that, but I know maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just compete because I just love being around those kind of guys in that environment. So just thank you for everybody in the Strongman community, and thank you for all the viewers and the listeners and the people that have wished me well. So that's it. Long story short, I'm grateful. I'm excited. We're getting back to it, and you got a whole other monster that we didn't even know we had coming. This is a blessing. This is a true blessing and a test to see how much of a freaking animal we can bring out of this body. Well, hopefully not messing it up too much, but that's the name of the game. Sometimes you got to do as I say and not as I do. But I'm living my life to the fullest, and it's at 100 miles an hour sometimes.
Cool.
Stay a lean, mean strength machine. I'll catch up with you next time. Peace.